Hello everyone, so in the last video we designed this mobile application and then we also built it out using React Native, and the videos are on my YouTube channel. So what I want to do in this video is we also designed this landing page, and what I want to do in this video is I want to just build out this landing page. And so what I've done is I've extracted this home image into a certain folder, and then I've also extracted the logo, and the repository that we're going to be using is the very same one that we're using with getting started with React Native. So the link is going to be in the description, and you can go ahead and just clone this repository. By the end of this video I will have committed the changes to this repository, and what I've done is I've created a new folder here called Food Palace landing page, and it has some assets. It has the design, it has the hero image, which is this big image, and then it also has the logo, which is going to be our SVG logo here called Food Palace. And so to begin, what I've done also is I have an empty index.css file, and then I have an empty index.html file. And with that, I think we can begin. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say exclamation and enter. That is going to generate a boilerplate for me. And then I'm going to change this title into Food Palace. And then inside here, I'm going to have, inside the body, let's do this. We're going to have a div, which is going to be a class of container, which is going to house everything. And then above this, we're going to have a header, and then inside this header we're going to have an image here, which is going to be coming from assets/logo.svg, which is going to be our logo. And then below this, we're going to have a section with a class of showcase, and then showcase. And then inside this section, we're going to have a div with a class of overlay. And then this div, the class of overlay, is going to have an h1 that says this text. And by the way, if you're wondering, all these designs, you can get all these designs. I'm going to link it in the description below. So just go into the Figma link in the description below, and you're going to have access to all of these that we're going to be designing. And so let me just go ahead and just copy this, which is going to be our h1. And then below this, let me paste in my paragraph. So just copy this, which is going to be my paragraph. And then below this paragraph, we're going to have a button that says browse categories, and that is going to be it for our HTML. But let's just remember to also link our index.css file. So link the index.css file and then save it. And then what we need to do now is this. We're going to go inside our index.css, and then I'm going to access my asterisk, and I'm going to reset the margin to 0, reset the padding to 0, and then also reset the box sizing to border box. And then I'm going to set all the images to have a max width of 100% so that they don't overflow outside of their container. 100%. And then below this, I'm going to access the class of showcase, and then inside the class of showcase, I want to add my background image. So I'm going to say background passing URL coming from ./asset/hero.png. And then I want this to have a background repeat of no repeat, so that the background image doesn't repeat. And then I'm going to place it to the center, and then set the background size to cover. And then I'm going to set the height here to 100 viewport heights. And then I'm going to go into the showcase.overlay class. And then inside here, let me see what I need to do. We don't need to have a background color, but I'm going to say display flex, and then I'm going to say justify content to the center, which should bring it somewhere. It should still remain here, but I want it to move downwards. So I'm going to give it the same height that I have on the showcase, which is 100 viewport heights. And then let's go ahead and style our button. So for the button, we're going to have a background color of black, so hashtag 00000, and then we're going to have a text color of white. And then we're not going to have a border, so border none. And then we don't want an outline either, so outline none. And then we're going to have a padding of 0.8 rem on the top and bottom. And then 1 rem is 16 pixels. I want it to be 120 pixels, so that is about 8 rem. 8 times 16 is what? 128, right? Should be somewhere around there, so 8 rem on the left and right, so that it is an extremely long button. And then let me see what else do we need to do. So we have the padding, we have we need the cursor here to be pointer, so cursor changes into pointer. Okay, and then let's go ahead and save this. And then I'm going to use an extension called live server, which is just going to help me to launch a local server for me. So live server, this is the extension. You don't have to use it, but I prefer to use it. And then I'm just going to right click on my HTML file and say open with live server. Okay, so there we go. So once it opens up, this is what we're going to have on the screen, and you can see it's just a bit messed up, right? So let's go ahead and begin to fix this up. Let me place this to the right and then place this to the left. And the first thing that we need to do is we need to change this flex direction into column. There we go. And then inside this overlay, let's also have a padding of 0 on the top and bottom, and let me say 2 rem on the left and right. No, let me say 1 rem on the left and right, so that this pushes inwards. And then let's go inside the body and specify it to have a font family of dash dash apple, which is the system UI. Just go ahead and we'll paste this in. And then let's also say set the font size here to 16 pixels. There we go. Fantastic. And then let's access the overlay h1. So the showcase overlay h1, and you know what, inside here you can just go ahead and specify a color of white, so that I don't have to manually change everything. And then inside here, let me go ahead and say margin bottom, set this to about 1 rem, right? Margin bottom. Okay. And then let's access the paragraph. So copy this downwards here, change this into the paragraph, and set the margin bottom to be 2 rem to push away from the button, so that we're going to have this. And then you know what, let me change this from here. Let me set it into HTML. That should do it. No, it doesn't do it. I want this to also have the font family on the border. So let me grab this from here, remove it from here, and then paste it inside here. There we go. So that now even the button is going to take up the font family. And then let me go ahead and inside this paragraph, let me increase the line height. So line height, set this to about 1.8 to separate it out just a bit. And then let me go ahead and inside this h1, let's increase the font size, because now it is reduced, because now it is taking this font size. So let me go ahead and change the font size here to about, let me say 2.5 rem. How big is that? Too big. Let's say 2 rem for mobile screens. There we go. Okay. And then now what I want to do is I want this header to be positioned absolute, so that this image goes behind it. And so let's go ahead right above here and say that for the header, I want this to position absolute. There we go. And I want to have a padding of about 1 rem all around. Or you know what, let me say 2 rem on the top and bottom and 1 rem on the left and right. That's much better. And then you know what, let me also access the header image IMG and reduce its width to about 2 rem. It's a bit big on mobile. Oops, that's too small. How is 8 rem? No, let's say 14 rem. 10 rem. Let's use 10 rem, and then we can scale it up on bigger screens. And then you know what, this looks fine on mobile. And then now what we need to do is just increase it. I mean, it looks fine, but you can see that it is white on white, so it's not all that readable. Now if you want to fix that, by the way, let me just show you how you can do that. You can add a background color here and add in a transparent background color by using alpha values. So I can set this to about black, so 000, and then add an alpha value of about 0.9 just to show you how it's going to look. And this is how it's going to look like. It just makes it a bit more readable. Now the lesser the alpha value, then the lesser the transparency of the color that you've chosen. So let me say about 0.5. 0. I don't want it to be really darkened out. I want it to be just a bit less, so 0.3. 0.2. Yeah, 0.2 is readable enough without interfering with the color. And then now what I want to do is, on about medium screens, I want to add in 2 grids. So I want to add in an imaginary grid so that this displays as 2 grids. I don't know whether that will work, but let's just hope that it will work. So let me add a media query here, and I'm going to say add media for a min width of about 768 pixels. Then I want to go inside the dot showcase, and then I want to say display grid with the grid template columns to repeat twice with 1 fractional column each. Let me see. There we go. Okay, see what happens? Because now I'm inside this, displaying it as a grid, so it displays 1 grid here, but remember that this grid is the one that has the transparent background color. So what happens if I go inside the grid overlay it won't work because the grid overlay is the text. Yes, that's what happens. So let me go ahead and do this. Let me see how is the structure. It is the showcase. Let me test something out. Let me change this to flex. What happens? And then what? Showcase flex, and then showcase, and then div inside. Change it to flex 1. What happens? Nothing. So you know what? Let me do this. Let's change this. Let's have this as a grid with grid template columns to repeat twice and one fractional column. And then let me access the showcase overlay and then give it a background color of transparent to remove the this semi-transparent background color. Okay, we're going to have that, and then let's access the header image. So let's go above this. Let's say for the header img, increase the width to about 14 rem, make it a bit bigger. There we go. And then let's access the showcase h1. So showcase overlay h1, increase the font size here to about 4 rem. Too big, let's say 3.5 rem. Still too big. What did I have on the top? 3 rem. I had it as 2 rem on the top. Okay. And then let's access the showcase and the overlay paragraph, increase the font size to 1.5 rem, which is about 24 pixels. Oops, 1 rem. What did I have? 1.25 rem. 25. Yeah, let's have it as that. And then let's also increase the size of this button. So for the showcase, for the overlay, and for the button class, let's increase the font size to 1.25 rem, just like we did on the paragraph, to make it just a bit bigger. And would you look at that? That is almost looking nice. But the final thing that I want to do is I want to limit this text so that it doesn't go through all the way to the end on larger screens. You can see that if you try to zoom out and zoom in, then the text is like just going to continuously go all the way to the end. I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go inside the showcase overlay and I'm going to give this a max width. Is that a good idea? Actually, not on the overlay. Let's do it on the showcase. No, the showcase is the one that has the image. So if I limit the showcase, then it's not going to, it's going to limit the image as well. So let me show you what I mean. If I have a max width here of 1100 pixels, or let me say 1200 pixels, then you can see that the image is also limited. I don't want to limit the image. I want to limit the text inside. So if I limit this and I try to zoom out, still nothing happens because this needs to have a margin of auto. So that now it's not going to limit it. There we go. So that you can see that now it kind of sticks somewhere. You can see that instead of going all the way to the end. And would you look at that? That is a pretty nice looking landing page, if I do say so myself. And you can make it full screen, and this is how it looks on full screen devices. Okay, so yeah, so let me commit this to GitHub. Let me close all of this. And then let me open up my terminal using Control and J. And then let me just say git add all. And then git commit. And I'm going to say food palace landing page. And then I'm going to say git push, which is going to push it to my remote repository. And there we go. So you can visit this link and you're going to find it in the repository as well. So there we go. So we have our landing page right here that you can take a look at if you want. So we have the CSS file, the index.html, and the assets. So when you go ahead and clone this repository, then you're going to find those files as well. So that is going to be the end of the video. And if you enjoyed it, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already and ring the notification bell so that you're always going to be notified of when I upload a new video.